Yeah, he's there with his beach hat. Like it's going to the beach. Oh, Kosi. Kosi for lunch.
All right, good evening, guys, and welcome to Front Row Sport. We are live on YouTube, really going through what has been an interesting week and weekend overall. I'm not alone for today. My name is Brian Mufukemaro. I'm joined by Velilem Nyandu, Eddie, Dina, Shoaib Walters, as well as Calvin Sosibo. Let me start first by saying congratulations, guys. You guys got it right. Shoaib as well as Sosi. You guys, for the first time, you got something right with me. So, I mean, we need to celebrate that one. Velile, you were close, but...
Close, but not close.
Yeah, no, not close as well. I think Eddie hit a run. He realized it's going to be complicated. He decided not to get involved on Friday.
No, I think...
All right, gentlemen, what a weekend that was. I mean, we're talking about Mamelodi Sundowns playing in a final, winning against Bloemfontein Celtic. But then the party at the end of it was almost spoiled by something that we all know is administration. It should have been picked up before. We all knew coming into the game that Langeman is suspended. Let's talk to, Velile will come back, we'll talk to you shortly, but let's talk to former players. Who informs the team once the PSL has sent a list, who therefore will be able to tell the coach that this player is not supposed to be playing?
Well, it's for me. Sorry, Eddie. For me, it's basically the general manager. At the end of the day, he's the one that tells the coach who's suspended 2-3 days before the game already. And yeah. So at the end of the day, that's the team manager. Sorry, the team manager is the one that knows all the suspensions.
All right, we'll talk about that, because I think we need to spend some time and elaborate further on that one there. Let's first start and have a look at the stories. Velile, Sosi, as well as Shoaib, we spoke extensively about the new person who could come to Kaizer Chiefs going forward. I see that now the stories coming out is that there is Adel Amrouche has been put into the hat also. He's possibly one that will be coming in. I had a chat with the coach, by the way. But let's start first and talk to Veli. Veli, you said clearly that Gavin Hunt is the guy that you should be looking at, and given the rumors that are going around that Gavin should be the guy to talk to. I mean, everybody concurred that you should be going the route of Gavin. Now we have a new coach in the head, so let's talk about this.
Well, yes. Interestingly, earlier today, we were at a Sundowns event, and the author of the story, I was with him, Homos Ostusha. Yeah, so, but what I think we can also update on, and I'm glad that Eddie is back here today, because he was also the first one to confirm the Gavin Hunt, Orlando Pirates interest, and I understand now that is also back on the table. I understand that Pirates has even tabled an offer for Gavin from the information that's doing the rounds. But also what is transpiring is that Chiefs and Gavin have also not been finding each other when it comes to the offer on the table. But this is not to say that the negotiations are not continuing, And also, I think we need to respect the different media houses and how they're reporting, because everyone is reporting based on his or her sources. You understand? When it comes to this, and also Adel Amrouche, because I had read even yesterday on the website of the Daily Sun, they had him and Gavin in terms of the shortlisting is highly likely. So I was not entirely surprised when I saw the article today. But what I can say is, at this stage, it's premature on my side to say Gavin is out of the race. Adel Amrouche is the new coach, because the negotiations. Remember, also Gavin was out of town, but he came back, I think, yesterday from the Western Cape where he was. But I think what we must put out clear there that he's not just dealing with an offer of Chiefs only here. And remember, after Pizzo, I think was the highest paid coach in the PSL. And now after Pizzo renewed his deal and he went over 1M on his latest deal. So yes, there is that gap that is there. But at this stage, also I think it was not just him. There was a name of, I heard about the name of now Paulo Duarte. If you know, Paulo Duarte is previously coached Burkina Faso as well. And he's Portuguese, he's coached Gabon, and he's played against Bafana Bafana on a number of occasions. I think the last time, Bruno, you would have followed him when Pirates was playing CS Sfaxien, I think. Paulo Duarte was coaching CS Sfaxien at that time from what's this country? From Tunisia.
Yeah,
that was in the CAF Confed. But look, Adel Amroche, okay, he's been around. He's Algerian, but he's got a strong link, and he's been based in Belgium. Yeah, you look at his track record. Yeah, he's been around, but I don't think, for me, if that's the route Kaizer Chiefs is thinking about taking, that will be a good route at all. I mean, he's been a journeyman. The credentials are not strong enough for me. If you look at the countries that is coached, Burundi, Kenya, he's failed to take them to the AFCONs. You look at also the CAF Champions League experience, or even CAF Confed experience as well, is also not satisfactory. So, but at this stage, I think, as you know, with football, especially during this silly season, you hear this today, but with the one of Gavin Hunt, and from how I've been following the story, I can tell you that the issue of the numbers, maybe it was from the initial first offer, whatever, but I don't think it was satisfactory on his side.
Let's talk about the numbers. He's good at talking about numbers. I mean, if Chiefs cannot afford to give Gavin Hunt what he feels he's entitled to and what he feels he's worth, can they therefore afford to pay a coach that wants to get paid to be paid in dollars?
Okay, where was Amroche coaching? Or where is Amroche coaching right now?
He's at BFA at the moment. He's sitting in Botswana at the moment.
He's coaching Botswana.
Yeah.
With all due respect, saying nothing about Botswana, and knowing countries, especially in our region in Southern Africa, I sometimes listen when I talk to my colleagues from around the region, and we just talk on the estimates or on the numbers, and you can tell. And also remember Amrucha's contract in Botswana. Some of those countries, their contract is also how can I put this? Subsidized, or maybe part of it is subsidized by even FIFA as well, or through the FIFA Forward program. So those are two different things. So yes. You can't compare. Amroche, with all due respect, is not in the same level of Pitso Mosimane, Gavin Hunt, if I am to look in the PSL, and also now even in terms of grading national team jobs and even salary. A coach at Kaizer Chiefs will always earn higher than a coach of Botswana. You understand what I mean, my president?
Yeah.
So in this case, but also on my side, this is not to say he's a leading candidate. You understand? But I think, based on experience, Chiefs has lost out before. They've tried to go for quality coaches. I think one credit, we must credit them, they've tried to get quality coaches, but they lost out, especially when it comes to numbers. I know that, okay, with the one of Hossam El Badri, who's currently coaching the Egyptian national team, the Pharaohs, his was slightly different. He came to Naturena, he met the club hierarchy, and they were impressed. But just after meeting the club, he got a lucrative offer that even took him out of coaching with Pyramids, and he was rumored to be getting 40 million rands net, annually. So it's those are two, those are two different things. But in this case, this search is proving to be very interesting. It goes back to something that I said last week, that you know your target and you decide on your target, go for your target. More especially with this case, because this one is a simple case. There's a top coach who's available, secure him, because I also said it here that there are vultures out there, there are vultures out there. But I think with this one, it's a matter of just waiting and see what will be the next step for Chiefs.
Let me interject this, Veli. I spoke to Coach Adele Ambrouch about an hour or so ago. He's currently in Brussels, Belgium. He was saying that he's trying to make his way to South Africa because he would like to get him to engage. But also he made it clear that, he's a man of his word. He's still signed with Botswana, and he'll only probably be able to look at any deal outside of that, provided he gets the blessings from the Botswana Football Association. So I think he's still interested because he started joining Chiefs when Ernst Windhoek was still in charge of Kaizer Chiefs. He then wanted to be part of Kaizer Chiefs, and he could not be part of the team because he felt he can't take a job from another coach. Hence, he looked elsewhere. But now that the coach is no longer there, he feels that, it's something he wanted to do. He wanted to go in South Africa and could be coming back into the country. And he's looking to come back into the country sometime next week, in fact. That's what he said to me. So we'll see what happens next week if he comes through and what happens. Gentlemen, let's bring you in. I mean, let's talk about this. Gavin Hunt, we all know his pedigree. We know what he can do, and we know how highly ranked and rated he is in the country. If you were sitting in Naturena, who would be your choice at the moment? Eddie Dean, I know your heart is with the Pagan. Let's start with you first.
You know what? It's very tricky. Yes, everybody knows what kind of coach Gavin Hunt is, but I think I've said it as Velile put it, that most of Vets players, they've gone to Orlando Pirates. So I think it will be a very good union with the players that he had coached before. And I think it will be easier for him also that whatever formation that he wants to use, the players that are there that played for him would adapt easily. And he will just mix with the current players that are there. And then he will become the number one coach for Orlando Pirates. But also, if you have to put it this way, I mean, there are people, the agents, they also kind of play a role in these negotiations between the two clubs. You go to Pirates and then you say, Gavin, yes, Gavin available. Let's see your offer on the table. And then take that, get it to Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs, this is what Orlando Pirates is offering. So whatever the best deal that comes, probably you will go there. But this one, I've got no doubt Gavin Hunt will definitely go to Orlando Pirates.
Let's bring in Shoaib.
Yeah. And I think sorry,
Billy, just I checked you there. Wait, we'll come back to Billy. Let's talk to Shoaib first. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Shoaib, you can come in.
For me, it's nice. It's nice to listen to Valele because you get some good insight, especially from the journalism side. And I think for us as ex-players, it's nice and it's good information for us, and it's good to see how the thoughts are. But I mean, look, from an outsider and ex-footballer, for me is at the end of the day, I think Gavin Hunt will go where he feels is it's the best for him in the project that he has, and what the vision is of the employees, the employers, and him as well. I honestly, if you look at it now, And you see Kaizer Chiefs are still looking for a coach now, which means it wasn't planned before. So I think everybody knew Middendorp was leaving 6 months ago. So why were you not planning already 6 months ago? Let's talk to whoever we're interested in, because at the end of the day, for me, even if they want the Botswana coach, they can speak to the federation and get and compensate them, and then still get him out of his deal if they really do want him. So for me, it's all about, I think they're a little bit indecisive in the camp, and that is why the decision is floating around with this one or that one or that. And maybe it's also because they haven't confirmed their own minds over who they want. It's maybe this one wants that coach and that one wants that coach, and that is why it's all he say and hearsay. So for me, when it comes to Chiefs, I think preparation should be key for them. And when it comes to Gavin Hunt, I feel he's at the moment looking at who and what employers got the same vision as him going forward, and who's going to give him the time.
Yeah, and also sometimes, you should be very careful with how you receive the news or you consume them around this time, because sometimes people test waters. They throw, okay, how are they going to respond to this one? And unfortunately, sometimes this is where on our side as journalists we have to be extra careful, because this, without knowing that they are doing this deliberately, but I will go because I'm getting the story, and I go with it. So that's why it's always important, as much as you hear this side saying something, but also try to scrutinize everything that you find in this case. For instance, last week there were a lot of stories. There were stories about Chiefs having contacted Stuart Baxter, about coming back. But then again, from what I understand, people within the club have taken a decision that they're not going to go for a coach who's been at Chiefs before. You understand what I mean? So yeah. So that balance becomes very important. But Eddie, the last time we spoke about the Pirates link and the issue of Gavin Hunt, last week, trying to follow up on the story, I gather that Pirates is not united as decision makers in that decision of going for Gavin. There is a feeling that.
But let me just find out. Let me ask you something here. If you look at the players that Pirates signed in recent times, you can start from the ones they signed previously. I mean, Gabadino Mango, first of all, Kolam Lambo, then Rulani Mukwena was there. So probably his influence was more on that. Ben Motswari also getting it. Vincent Pule coming on board. Tyson, as well as Hoto being signed now in recent times. So it will be a great union with Gavin because he knows all those players. If you were sitting at a Pirates point of view, you'll probably feel, if I bring a coach who has coached these players, whom we have just signed, and some have been there before, this could actually work much better. Wouldn't you say?
But also there's a feeling that some of those players were not playing under him and they ended up going to Pirates.
That's true.
So now if he goes to Pirates, he still finds the same players, and some of the players we're talking about are the core team at Pirates, So now he will be making those changes, and then Pirates will have to start afresh again, So there is, and also knowing Gavin Hunt, do you think in terms of the independence, he will have the 100% independence at Pirates?
That's another story. We'll bring in Eddie, but let's bring Saucy. Let's bring Saucy first, because he's itching to come into this conversation. I know I congratulated him from the start, and we haven't spoken to me yet. So let's talk about this. I mean, here you are as a football lover. I know you love the other side, but I mean, we're sitting now here with the Gavin Hunt issue. If you were sitting in Chiefs camp, would you be thinking Gavin definitely must come on board, or what do we be doing?
Yes, with all being said by the gentleman, I'll actually take this opportunity to say, I think for Gavin, it's best now to go with Chiefs because there's a vacant space. Going at Pirates is contrast because already there's a coach there. Regardless of what the gentlemen are saying, I understand that, but I think the open way now is for Gavin to go to Chiefs, and also putting into consideration the fact that Chiefs still has a ban on signing players. So should that not be lifted, and then Gavin would be the right person to actually to take charge because he knows the players, he knows the tradition, he knows the culture, and he knows what is expected. He can work around in terms of the material that is there at Chiefs. So him being moved around or be considered to be at Pirate Camp, I think also on the other coach and the other side, it brings uncertainty. And as much as we know that even though Pirate is divided at this point, him going there, as much as there's more players that he know that are there, a good reunion, yes, it sounds good, but is it possible that he needs to go there? Is there open vacancy? We're not sure of that one. So I think for Chiefs, I think it's a viable situation.
Eddie, I mean, let's talk about this, Eddie. We know that Joseph Zimbabwe, he had a bit of a rough patch in between, but since they came back into the bubble, they got three straight wins right at the end of it. Yes, they lost a game against Cape Town City. They had a few draws before that. What do you do with a coach like that? Don't you think the coach is there probably another chance to stay longer, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think, listen, I mean, it's not short what he has done with the club. I mean, from where he took it and when he finished the season. But like Velile had said, listen, I think there are divisions at the club. Who wants this other coach, and then the other one, the other team wants this coach. But I think they should have given him another chance, to continue with the team next season. But, it is Orlando Pirates. They want trophies. They want to be right at the top. So I think with what Gavin has done, and also because he is a local coach, and with the reunion of his players that he has coached before, I think it will work to their advantage. So I think definitely Gavin had to be there, and it's said that Jay-Z has to go.
If I may just,
the gentlemen, we have coming up. You can go, Soso.
If I may just come in there, Eddie, is it good for a coach that already knows that in the camp already in the top management, there's already discomfort and there's people that are not seeing eye to eye in terms of who to bring in? Would you, if you were a coach, would want to actually to go to that direction?
You see, now that's very good that you're asking. You're saying me. If it was me as a coach, I wouldn't. But then this is happening in South Africa. It's in every club. Every club is always like that. So you just have to work with those conditions. Otherwise, you have to go and then be at
but then that throws you out. Because remember, people are
it doesn't.
People are half-hearted in this situation because you coming in, and then there's somebody that doesn't want you, and all these people are on top position.
Yes, it's the same. It's the same that we always say. Why is it when you go to those big clubs, then the owners, they always give you a lineup, but you can still go there and be the coach, but you know that sometimes you would not put in the best team that you want to be. Sometimes the team, your actual lineup is coming from the top, but you still go there, right?
But that's contrast to the fact that if he goes there already, it's a shaky boat at this moment. There's a coach that has done well, that has picked up the club, and as much as we praising the fact that he's going to unite with other players, we need to also be considerate to the fact that there's a coach that has done tremendously well. For Gavin to actually to instill the other philosophy now that he's going to be coming with, I think it's going to take him some time. Let's continue at this point.
No, it won't even take time. So, how many coaches at Pirates have won the league, but they resigned immediately after that? How many?
Last
quite
week, if you remember, we really spoke about the number of coaches that have been around the Pirates. I mean, he was talking about the number of coaches in the last, since the travel year until to now, how things have actually been at the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
With the fact that Pirates, alongside Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, and Celtic, are going to be playing in the CAF Confederations Cup and the CAF Champions League, you have to plan and think about that going forward. Then who do you go for, given the fact that you still have this assignment to look at?
I think for me, I stand to be corrected. I'm not sure, maybe for some at Pirates who are looking at making this decision, they see this top coach who is available and they don't want to miss out, you know? And remember, what Sundowns has done is very painful. It's a very painful thing that this thing Sundowns has done. Sweeping almost everything on offer with only one trophy outside that cabinet so far, being the one also in Pretoria at SuperSport United. And Sundowns having achieved winning all these things that they've been winning in a period where Chiefs and Pirates have not been winning anything for the last 5 to 6 years. Now you must understand that these are the country's 2 biggest clubs, you know, and for them to go empty-handed for a whole 5 and 6 years, it's not a good thing at all. It's not a good thing at all. And I'm sure even their commercial backers are not happy with what is happening because they cannot live at this stage.
Sorry. But now my question to that answer is, if you're panicking about missing out on a coach, should not 17 games with 37 points be we got something going here for next season? We can win the league with that. You understand?
Yeah, that's why. Yes. That's why I'm trying to say. I did say this. It's disturbing to me that they're going this route, or maybe could there be something that we don't know beyond the results? You know, because there's Coach Fadlu there as well. So is it a case of maybe Coach Fadlu is keeping the fire burning? You know. So I don't understand. You know, I don't understand. But why? I mean, this coach even got them. I mean, in the last 2 weeks of the season, Pirates, for me, didn't stand a chance. Looking at the form of SuperSport United to make it to the CAF Confed, but this coach made it possible. You know, so with the issue of Gavin Hunt, I'm not sure if it's a matter of they don't want him. Maybe they don't want him to see landing up at Chiefs and then he revives Chiefs, you know, and then they will be left alone because Chiefs, even this season, because you must understand the rivalry between Pirates and Chiefs. That one is a serious rivalry, you know, where the 2 teams, they look at even the smaller Nyana things, you know, what is this other club doing, and they want to make sure they better them, you know, and to understand to understand the rivalry between Chiefs and Pirates. Fortunately, we've got people who come from those 2 clubs here. You must look at even their Twitter statuses during this bio bubble, and even when the other one lost the league title, and when the other one seemed to be an advantage to win the league title, and when you see, so there is that fierce rivalry, and one will always even go as far as making sure that this one is not advantaged by having this top coach, but also hoping that that top coach will go and revive them. Look, we don't have the clear picture of what is really happening, but at least we know that they are both going for the same man.
All right. One thing that we know is that the transfer window is always a silly season. Everybody comes up, everyone to scoop a story, be the first to come up with a story and say they have it confirmed. But one thing that we can confirm is the Sundowns are the champions. Then we can talk about that Peter Musiman is their coach. Then we can talk about. Let's talk about what transpired on Saturday at the Orlando Stadium. Sundowns against Bloemfontein Celtic. Let's talk about the tactical approach from the 2 benches, first of all. and your summation, gentlemen. We'll start from whoever wants to come first can start and just talk about what really transpired on Saturday. We'll get to the politics of red cards and of suspensions and everything else. Let's talk about the game itself. What was dished out on a field of play?
I think for me, it was a well-played game for Sundowns. I think Sundowns did their homework pretty well, which is they closed the Celtics danger man, which was Mabena. They mobilized him, and then they managed to put him off the game. So they were able to actually apply their own game, as the way we saw that they started dominating. By so doing, what they've done is they've actually put two screeners in front so that they hide Mabena from actually receiving the ball. They cut the speed from the side and always played on an offensive play. So within them dropping a little bit so that they can actually move forward quickly on break attacks, it actually gave them an advantage. As you saw, the influential player coming deep to collect ball was Zwane. As always, he's been influential for the team. So I think for me, the game overall was good. Celtics tried to exercise also on their wing play, which is they use their inverted wingers, which gave them some opportunities and some entries in the box. But Sundowns were able to actually to deal with that effectively, moving forward. So I think for me, Maduka tried his level best, but Pito at the end of the day showed his pedigree and the amount of quality that he has on the squad.
Shoaib?
Yeah, I think just to add on what Sos is saying there, it's you could see that Bloemfontein Celtics was sitting a bit deep and trying to absorb and hit on the transition with speed. They normally the team that have the majority of ball position, and in this game they were probably like 100 and odd passes less than what Sundowns was on, like 538, 540. But they both had the same amount of shots on target and the same amount of shots as well. So for me, it was a very good tactical game. And like we spoke last week, I said that there's always the only thing where Sundowns is superiority is that individual brilliance. And that is where the goal came from, a moment of brilliance. And that is what I knew, that the longer the game goes on, the more you can see, you have that feeling that Sundowns is going to take it, because also the depth that you have with Bloemfontein Celtics, the impact players didn't give enough impact, and that was what I knew at the beginning, and what we said last week. If Celtics wasn't going to score in the first half an hour or first half, it was going to be, as the game was going to progress, eventually a moment of brilliance from a Sundowns player was going to get them the goal, and that is exactly what happened.
Eddie?
I think, Shwaibu and Kelvin they've said most of the stuff. I think it was a game of the Cup Kings versus Celtics, and obviously the Cup Kings has to come on top, and they showed why they are called the Cup Kings, and the fact that also that the experienced players that were playing for Sundowns always come to the party, and the player that I said, the player of the season, Themba Zwane, showed exactly why I said he is going to be the player of the season. And even though after I can't remember if it was in the 8th minute or 85th minute that he has to be taken off and then given a chance to the youngsters just to feel the glory of playing for Sundowns and playing for the cup games. So I think credit will go to Sundowns, and everybody always knows that when it comes to the cup finals, they always rise together.
Let's talk very, very. We'll come to you shortly because there are a few questions I want you to answer. But let's talk about this. You come into a cup final. You have Motivan Sera, who's been on great form from a Celtic point of view. You have also Ndumiso Mabena, who's proving to be a very difficult player for Sundowns to play against. Yes, you pulled him off. You brought on Putani. You brought in also another youngster in Neumayer. Why did the coach leave leave it for so late to eventually bring Mutimang into the game? What was the coach waiting for? Because he brought him with only 3 minutes left on the clock. And that man has proven to be the top man anymore. He scored 7 goals in the last few matches that's played him.
I think for me,
I think for sorry,
I think for me at
Sophie.
this point, Maduka showed a little bit of an experience there, where introduction of those players who are normally impact players, and also those players will always hover around Mabena. They will actually assist Mabena in mobilizing him, because if you see, Mabena likes drifting to the side and then overload on one side to create an overload. So within that being said, it gives an opportunity to the fast, speedy players to actually gain more entrances in the box and create combination play. But him now putting those players at a later stage of the game, maybe he was hoping if they get a goal, maybe they go on extra time, which I think at my point, it was a little bit of inexperience from him. And I think he would have done better by actually maybe having those players to be around Mabena to support him, because we know the attention was centered on him.
Yeah, just Sosi hit the nail on there. That is exactly what I was going to say. I was going to agree with him. The lack of experience, or the inexperience in the head coach position. But I feel that the assistants could have assisted him there. I mean, that's why you have a good assistant coach, and the assistant coach with Simon Gopani's experience. So that is where they should have come in and say, for me, is you don't only have to wait for something to happen before you need impact. And I think he was panicking a little bit. He was panicking because he was like, okay, if I can get it to 90 minutes, let's see what happens. I want to keep these players on. But I also feel that he should have made changes after the hour mark already. Because also the other thing is, for me, is with the intensity that you're playing at, that is why I said the longer the game was going to go, I feel that Sundowns was going to get a goal. So the intensity that they played is, you know already, you should have prepared. If it's 0-0, an hour into the game, okay, this one's legs is going, I need more firepower when I'm hitting my transition, because I'm playing with transition. So I'm going to need that firepower. I need to get the ball to Mabena, because they are Sundowns are blocking the passes to him. So now we need some other outlets. We need another dimension. And I feel he should have done it, and they could have caused a lot more problems instead of waiting. And that's what they did. They were waiting actually for Sundowns to do something, and now we react to it, where they could have taken the initiative and actually said, you know, let's take this game to them. It's a cup final. And that is where, like Sosi was saying, the lack of it, the inexperience of maybe cup finals for John, and the inexperience maybe of the club being in finals, maybe just shown a little bit there.
Verile? Let's go to the questions. Let me do this. Verile, you were at Sundowns this afternoon. When they were, you know, you're talking to the Tribal Kings. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
But we've got 2 questions here coming from. First of all, is from Tando Kelo, the 4th. Hi, what is the deal with Downs and Mudiba? And then Pumlani Rafael Mkonza is talking about what's happening between Sundowns and Lucky Mohumi.
Well, Coach Pizzo said all those questions are going to be answered this week and possibly next week. In terms of the comings and the goings, he did say that they've signed some players already. Some they are looking at finalizing their deals, but he didn't want to comment in terms of the names, because he's waiting for the club to take that process forward. But I think what is clear is that if you look at the players who are coming, I mean, Grant Magaman is already their player. George Maluleka is already their player. You look at Luvuyo Pewa, you know. You look at Mvala as well, who's also on his way. So that takes the complement of their current central midfielders to 10 or 11, you know. And you can only play 3 at most.
Yeah.
For a team like Sundowns, which relies also on ball players, you can only play 1, you know. And there are times where when a game is easier, they will even go with only 1 central midfielder, you know. So it goes without saying that some players will have to make way. Some will have to go on loan, and some will definitely have to leave. So I think that's the bracket where Mohomi is falling. And I know that there's been this sentiment that because he's a player from Mamelodi, that he should always be around the team. But I think there was one key point Coach Peter made today. He said, now there's something that has changed in terms of their approach to the market. That as much as yes, they are going for quality, but this is not just any quality, because you will understand that with the expanded FIFA Club World Cup,
Yes.
Africa will now be sending 3 teams to the FIFA Club World Cup. So and those teams, I think, is the 2 finalists in the CAF Champions League and also the winners of the CAF Confed. You know, so Coach Peter was also talking about that today to say their approach now to the market. He says he understands that even the current squad for him is not good enough. The current squad to take him to the final of the CAF Champions League. So he is changing his approach. So meaning that there could still be some big guns to come there.
You didn't talk about Kapinga, who's also amongst those that are there, Shalulila amongst the players as well. Now, let's talk about something that, I mean, Veli, you are in the media list. I know you guys are sitting, if you're sitting in the media list, you will know that you receive suspension lists before matches are played.
Yeah.
So this past Saturday, Bloemfontein Celtic versus Sundowns in a final. The game starts. We all knew Langeman is suspended. We saw him sitting on the bench. We thought maybe that to be remedied by Sundowns before the game kicks off. That never happened. Celtic doesn't therefore protest. The game plays, and then right towards the end, they want to introduce Langeman. Then the stories come up. Who dropped the ball? Surely the ball is round. Somebody could have picked it up. Who dropped it?
Yeah, and that's the duty of the team manager, you know. Unfortunately, here we've got former football players turned administrators now. You know, so that one it's very easy. That one, that is a job of a team manager, because they receive the information from the PSL and they share it with everyone. In fact, you would have also read a number of previews before this game, and they were pointing out that Langeman is suspended, and for obvious reasons that as the media, we also received the suspension list, you know, and this situation is easy, you know. But also here, I think I would also now like to blame Celtic, you know. I would also like to blame Celtic and even the team manager there for not informing the team, because we know that you first submit a team list on the day, right? And then from the team list, an hour before the game, or even sometimes 2 hours or even 1.5 hours before the game, you submit the final team list. And that one cannot be changed, right? My understanding. So from then, Celtic, they receive the team list of Sundowns because it's gone public an hour before the game, as Rule 51.4 says. In fact, starting with Rule 51.3 says, you know, that where the protest relates to a player who is alleged to be an ineligible player, the protesting member club will lodge a written objection to the fielding of the player, detailing the reasons for the objections, with the referee and the opposing captain in the presence of an assistant referee no later than 30 minutes before the start of the match. This is what Celtic needs to do, you know, and by that time it's something, because when you plan, now it's clear now. Because when you plan, especially around video analysis and all those things, when you plan for the opponent, okay, who could be at left back? No, it can't be Langeman, because according to the documents, he's suspended. You understand? So it's so I think for me, as I reflect on this, and also, yes, I know that in hindsight we're all clever in hindsight, but there are people for these kind of jobs, you know, and they should carry this kind of job. Now I understand that Celtic is saying they did protest around the 80th minute when they found out about this. But it's not 30 minutes before the game. And we would have seen, because this kind of protest, I remember when Pirates did it against Sundowns at Loftus, the opposing captain and your team's captain, including the referee, they have to go and sign the protest. They have to go and sign the protest. So when they say they protested, where did they protest? To the match commissioner? So for me, I feel it's not just Sundowns disappointing here, but it's also Celtic.
But I mean, Velile, to come in there before anybody comes in, I mean, if you remember the same rule you just read out now from the NSL handbook,
yes.
It stipulates clearly also that once the game has been played, that is no longer a protest, but now a complaint.
The complaint.
Which has different outcomes completely.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
So let's Eddie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, I wanted to say exactly what you just said, that you should protest, like what Gilles said, 30 minutes before kickoff. Then now you are lodging a protest. But then if it's after, when the game has started, then now it's a complaint, which now even someone is going to be found guilty, and then they're going to just be slapped with a monetary issue. They're just going to be fined. But if they had protested before the game, then probably someone could have been stripped off the cup and medals given to Celtics. But now,
but remember the same rule, Eddie, just to come in there also before. I know Soso is looking like he wants to get involved in this one. Before I come in, remember that if for example, if a Celtic protest,
yes,
Sundowns will be given an option to say, do you want to put the player on a bench or do you want to pull him out? Because that when a protest happens, you can therefore give him that option, and Celtic can therefore, so you're playing the game on a protest. Even if you pull him out, you want to play the game on a protest because the sheet was already out. You know? So those options were there and were never practiced and never utilized. Soso?
Yeah, I think overall, what could the final point here is just Sundowns is guilty for misconduct. That's a given. All the other dynamics, I think they go back to the same points that have been echoed. So I don't think we should step on them too much because already they've been covered.
I would never want to be in your class if you're a teacher. Gentlemen, let's talk about now Lorenzo Coutinho. He's now off to Denmark. I mean,
that's a one, because I think he has done well for himself, considering that in 2017 he flew again to Denmark with Aalborg for some trials, and Fulham too. So I think now he had an idea when he came back. Now I think it was just a matter of just fixing exactly what went wrong. So now I think it's just a congratulations to him, and the fact that also Vets has been sold to TTM, and I think it's good for him. I think it's a wonderful player, very good centre back, and I'm also one of his favorite. He's one of my favorite players. So I think congratulations to him.
Let's talk about Ernst Middendorp. He's now without a team, and he will be looking for a new job going forward. If you were an owner of a team and you're looking to bring a coach in, when you bring Ernst Middendorp now as a coach, what should you be thinking at? What would be your thinking? What would be the plan around that? I think everybody just doesn't want to run. They want to run away from that one.
Look, for me is I believe that Luke is his wife is South African, and he probably wants to stay in South Africa. So as much as there is talks about him having opportunities abroad, I do believe that he's always done pretty well when it comes to sometimes you're fighting relegation, like with Free State Stars, Bloemfontein Celtics. He started something good at Bloemfontein Celtics. He created something good with him and Fadlu Davids at one stage. So at the end of the day, for me, is I don't think he'll be short of suitors. I know there was talk of maybe getting him in at Ajax in a certain role, which could be good, is because he is a little bit flexible when it comes to that coaching and the coaching / administration, where, for example, like a technical director, he's got the experience in that as well. So yeah, I think there probably will be 1 or 2 opportunities for him here, but it's probably at the end of the day what he wants most.
Yeah, look, the rumors about him and Ajax started even before he left Kaizer Chiefs. You know, so it's something that has always been there. But from what I understand, I thought it was an issue of if the team gets promoted to the PSL, then he will join them. So even now, waiting to see if they do go up. But I know that there have been talks of him possibly going to Ajax even before he left Chiefs, as it looked clear, especially during the lockdown, that Mirandop might not return to Chiefs. So,
and also what you must also remember is that Hans Vonk also left in January. So Ajax is looking to replace Hans Vonk also in the technical director position. So and I think that would be good maybe for Mirandop to get into that capacity maybe for next season.
But
Saucy, let's talk about Amazulu.
Okay.
Yeah, Velile.
Yeah, no, I'm interested. Mirandop, TD, Ajax model.
Yeah,
And
you know,
because the TD there has always been someone who's anointed in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
Yes.
but now we need to look: are they going to break away with Amsterdam as well and start their own thing?
Because
then
that's coming up.
you
That's
might-
the story that's been there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then the story has
They
come up
don't-
that they are looking to break away with Amsterdam, and if they do that, I think then Mirandop would fit in because he's got a good philosophy to a certain degree, European philosophy, which Ajax probably doesn't want to change too much away from. So yeah, I think he could do well in a position like that. Will Ajax Cape Town break away from Amsterdam?
Let's talk about, you're talking about Ajax now. I think that's the right time to talk about the promotional playoffs. What happened this past weekend? TTM, after losing their game against Black Leopards, they went on the official Twitter handle congratulating Black Leopards on a job well done, just like they did against the Morocco Swallows. So, gentlemen, let's talk about this. Ajax Cape Town loses against Black Leopards, TTM loses against Black Leopards, and TTM is celebrating.
Yeah, this is very interesting. If I am Ajax, I should be very, very, very worried because being paid against 2 teams from Limpopo, one just brought a franchise into the PSL, and another one wants to still remain in the PSL. So it's going to be very, very tricky. If the 2 clubs that are both from Limpopo playing against each other, one knowing that already it's in the PSL, so we want to have 2 clubs from Limpopo in the PSL. So why not listen? Why not give you a game? And I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just saying, like, listen, here's the game. Here is the game. Win the game. Beat us. Now I think you see now Black Leopards is only got to beat Ajax, and then that's it. Yeah, Black Leopards it's back in the PSL. So I think it's going to be very difficult for Ajax now to have to play again now against Black Leopards and TTM. So their next game against TTM could be very difficult. If it's a draw, then that's it. Ajax is out. So there's some meetings being done there in the boardroom.
So you're laughing about this. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because last week I said it. And I spoke about TTM giving Leopards an upper hand on them losing.
Oh, yes,
game.
you did. You did. Yes.
I did. So now it plays out the same thing that I predicted that it might happen, because for them, I'm sure they're looking for an original derby with 2 teams back in the PSL. So it would be great for them, also for the province, to have two powerful teams that are actually going to give them that entertainment. It is sad, yes, on the case of Ajax, which they've actually left it this late, and things now are actually going pear-shaped. I would actually wish for them to be the team that is coming up to PSL, because we know them as producing one of the best youngsters and giving football a different dimension, and instilling belief on younger players that it could be done. Because I would say, on my experience when I was still playing, I've always wished to play for Ajax, because there were youngsters there, they were given an opportunity, they build up into the game. Like many other players that have come up to Ajax rank, they've been a great addition to the national team and actually growing South African football.
Let me bring Shoaib before we talk to Velile. Shoaib, let's talk about this. You have featured in the Cape Town, in the Western Cape Derby, when you were still part of Cape Town CDFC and you had to play against Ajax and so forth. Was there ever a day when Ajax had won a game, you actually went on your social media person or your team manager or your media officer went on social media and congratulated Ajax for beating you guys?
No. Yeah, look, at the end of the days, there was always big rivalry between Cape Town City and Ajax Cape Town. There still is now. That is why you will seldom even see Cape Town City wishing Ajax, all the best for playoffs, or we hope to see you. You'll more see it with Stellenbosch, looking to push Ajax and wanting them in the league. But yeah, look, there was big rivalries there. Obviously, we all know the stories with the two owners and them having, their own little tiffs and stuff like that and rivalries. So yeah, I don't think you'll see that very often. That side.
We find ourselves sitting in this situation now because of buying of statuses by teams and by owners. TTM now already bought the status of Bidvest. They'll be campaigning as TTM next season in the place of Bidvest. Their first games will probably be the MTN 8. They already sold their status. Their current status as a team that's playing in the National First Division or the South Africa Championship has been sold to another consortium, that is Kukuni FC. So the players have nothing to lose. Really, if you are sitting and you are part of the administration of a PSL, when do you think should be the right time to allow the selling and buying of status? Or is it even good for football at all? Billy, you spoke about that sometimes people must understand the financial impact and all of that and everything else. But should there probably, from a PSL point of view, be a time when you say the sales can only happen after this time, because this indeed is already showing that there's some cracks in it when it happens very early?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Brian, that you're coming up with, because last week we spoke to Jose Ferreira, a former Bidvest CEO, but also a PSL ex-co member, and for this reason, I'm one who comes from an area where I know when you have a family which has been running a PSL team and cries about the losses, and how it depletes the funds if there are family businesses around as well, and so but one of my question to Jose last week was, then how do you try and find the balance as the exco between saving the team from going bankrupt and saving the club and the players, but also this thing of a team moving a status from Limpopo to Cape Town, and remember now you are moving away from a community which has also been invested, and then the players had settled there with their families, kids going to school. So a lot changes just because of that sale. And he did say that, these are some of the things that they've been discussing even within the exco, to say, some of those things they need to find balance. But now he touches on another key point, and this is something which I've seen that even Brett Kaftel, the director at the main shareholder at Highlands Park, is talking about it. How businesses are suffering through this COVID-19 period. You know, it has affected a lot of businesses. And I know that sometimes you see football fans saying, no, but you've been receiving your grant. I mean, the grant sometimes is not even half of the amount of your operation, your budget operation for a month, you know? So it's not enough. So some businesses, they need, the club owners, they have to top up from their own businesses, you know, to run their clubs. But I think now, as much as there is this important side where people are trying to run away from clubs going bankrupt, but also I feel that there are those now who have realized that this is a money-making scheme. You know, you buy a status of 8 to 9 million in the first division, you promote a team to the PSL, be there just for one season. If you survive the season, then sell the status. You make 50 million rands, you know? Because now, I mean, when you listen to the story of Highlands Park, you hear that they are also looking at buying a status maybe in a lower division and regroup as a different group, you know? So it's alarming, that one, you know? It's really alarming. Taking nothing away from the fact that yes, they could be in debt and they want to address their debts, but then again, if you listen, we followed the story. There's always been stories that Highlands Park could be sold.
So let's talk about the Highlands Park story. I mean, I know the TS Galaxy has been rumored to be the one that actually have bought the team. What is the latest from that, if I may ask, Velile?
Yeah, I think that one we are just left with. Everyone is now waiting for the approval from the PSL. It's proving to be not the same like the ones before because they are taking longer to decide on it. But then again, with the noise that has been coming around it, especially with one of the shareholders, Singim Nisi, complaining about the lack of transparency from the other shareholders around this deal in terms of the offer, in terms of a number of things to do with the financial affairs of the club. So, but I understand that today, this morning, I think around 10, 11 a.m., Tim Sugazi, he had a meeting with Highlands Park players where he was briefing them on the way forward. And remember, I think it was here last week when we were even talking about the new technical team at TS Galaxy to be led by Dance Malisela as well. So they are forging ahead with their plans, TS Galaxy, in terms of preparation. Remember, I think they are going to remain here in Gauteng in terms of being based and training, but they'll play all their matches, home matches in Bombela.
Jeremy, let's talk about the club licensing issue now that Vele is talking about where TS and everything else. For me, that's a big worry around it. I mean, if we're talking about buying and selling of statuses, can somebody please try and educate us about the club licensing issues? How does that work?
I think that one is best for Lily, eh? Or maybe Sosi also has some input on the licensing there.
Yeah.
As much as Swahili is trying to inquire to actually go about buying a team as well, I think the insight from Velile will help him to understand also if he's not doing the same mistake that the other people are doing.
No. You see when it comes to where I am, I'm there with the small fries in the ABC Motsepe. Our statuses don't even qualify. You just go there, you say, yeah, I want to give you 5 rand, and you just take the book. You don't even take players, you don't take contracts, you don't take anything. So with us, it's a lot more simpler than that. So yeah, but Lily will probably have better answers when it comes to licensing and those things when it's PSL. I might need this information maybe for a few years to come if I get promotion.
That's what I'm saying. Velile is a good
I think Velile also wants to go and consult and have a look at his crystal ball and also talk about the book. Eddie, you want to come in on that one?
No. I think Velile would explain to us exactly what happens, because we are in that department. We still trying to understand how it works.
So,
Still on the offside and throw in.
So you're asking, how does club licensing affect things like this?
Yes.
Yeah, well, look, firstly, club licensing, I think it's got about 5 pillars to it. Part of those is sporting, it's infrastructure, it's financial, and yeah, I think there's 2 other ones as well. But as far as the PSL is concerned, I understand that they also do have those compliance manuals. But last week I was taken aback by a comment from Cape Town City a chairperson, John Committees. Yes. We're in a webinar, and it was asked about if maybe are there standards in the PSL, because look, when you have to coach in the Champions League, in the Champions League you cannot sit on the bench if you don't have a CAF A license.
Yeah.
You can't sit on the bench. So and John said the PSL doesn't have those standards. Which I
But
found.
if memory serves me correct, in 2018, I remember that the chairman, one of the things when he was talking, he mentioned that one of the requirements that will have to be fulfilled going forward is exactly that. The benches,
Yeah,
the coaches' benches.
but I was taken aback by that comment, because I remember there was a time where the former Baroka coach, Tobejane, he was running around trying to do a CAF D license, otherwise he was not going to sit on the bench, So I think for me, these are some of the standards that we really have to look at. But also, club licensing goes further. It also goes far as checking the quality of the staff that we have. Are there people who who are qualified to be around some of these positions in the game, and what you must also have. But sometimes you find that the clubs find ways of bypassing all these rules. Sometimes, a rule gets introduced, then they bypass it. Look at the rule of, the PSL used to have a rule that you can only sign 5 foreign players, right?
Yes.
But it didn't control you from having more foreign players and also those who will be naturalized. But now what clubs do, besides those who are naturalized, then PSL introduced another rule that clubs would sign and then they would loan them out. But then now the PSL introduced another rule to say you cannot have more than 5 players, even if it means you are loaning him. That is still your player if you are loaning him. So
yes,
you have to do things differently. So if you look at the issue of Mahachi from Sundowns to Arrows, and how, and then eventually Mahachi left, he went to Pirates. You look at the issue of the player who has put Chiefs in trouble now, Ducks, and going to Leopards. As much as, yes, he's still at Leopards, but at the back of my mind, also think about that. Technically, he's still a Chiefs player who's just been loaned for 2 seasons. But what we know is that, no, he's been sold. So as much as sometimes the club, in fact, the authorities, which is the league in this case, introduce the rules, the clubs find ways of bypassing those rules. But I can tell you, implemented in the right way, club licensing is the future. And this is something that Shoaib, it's not just for the top level. If you are looking at getting a team, look at the club licensing requirements and implement it. In fact, that's something that even SAFA was supposed to implement. The only thing that I disagree sometimes on the African continent, and I think also here at home we must not do that, is to take the club licensing formula as it is from FIFA and UEFA and think we're going to implement it in Africa. No, because we know in Africa, club licensing requires you to have your own stadium. You know, we know. I mean, how many clubs in Africa own stadium? You know, so that thing is not easy, because also besides just playing, maintaining a stadium is very costly. You know, it's very costly. So the model that was used, where you have government owning the stadium and then maybe having a management company managing it, then that's different. But I still feel that I know that there's a first instance body at the PSL that approves teams for club licensing, but I still feel they need to do better. In fact, I'm sure you would have seen by now, and there was a disclaimer there at the bottom when they talk about the CAF Champions League and CAF Confed. If a club doesn't meet the requirements, they'll be kicked out of the tournament. They'll be kicked out.
I know that, but somebody will come out and say to you, somebody might not have the papers, but have the experience to be able to take the team to the next level. That's a discussion for that. We'll have a discussion another day when we're having coffee. Somebody's asking a question on YouTube, saying that, do you think Sundowns' quest for trophies can be stopped? Is there anybody at the moment whom we believe can stop Sundowns train after tasting a treble, especially Peter and Co? Will they be stopped next season going forward? Sosi?
No, I doubt. I think the more Sundowns are winning, they have actually introduced a culture of Fat Alice, which is take everything. As much as they are taking from players, they are taking players left and right, trying to beef up their squad, just building in terms of momentum and refreshment of the squad. You look at the seriousness of it. They going all out to acquire one of the best, to be one of the best in Africa in Africa as well, just to compete with your Al Ahly, Zamalek, and so forth. So within that pedigree, I think they are measuring themselves within the standard of the other African teams to be at least on par with them, because I know in South Africa they've actually opened up a very big gap, and I don't see any team out of the top three, which is Chiefs, Pirates, coming closer to them. Maybe in terms of finance, I don't know, but quality, I think Sundowns is the team that you look after.
Yeah, I also believe that. Yeah, I also think so. I think the way they've reinforced and the way they signed is, you can see that they're signing for the future as well. They've got some long-term signers that they're looking at long-term, like your Grant Magemans. You've got your Jody Februaries. You know, those ones. And then you got obviously the ones that they're going to probably hope to get to need for next season, your George Malulekas. And then, you know, and yeah, so in that sense, I think it's good. Are they going to dominate? They probably will still be dominating South Africa. I would like to see competing and doing very well and winning more, obviously, of the Champions League and that. So yeah, in that sense, when you ask, I still believe there is teams in South Africa that could. I really, that is why I say I'm looking forward to teams like Cape Town City next season, SuperSport United. If Jay-Z stays at Orlando Pirates, it's exciting, because you know those teams were looking like the way they ended the season. If they can continue, they could compete. And if they can get some type of consistency going, then I think that they could cause a little bit of upsets here and there in the cups and in the league even also.
Eddie, do you think your team will be able to challenge for those?
I mean, challenging Sundowns is going to be very difficult. I think, as Peter said, that I think he's thinking forward right now. I think his mind right now is in the club champions. That's where he is at right now. I think as a matter of competing in South Africa, yes, he is going to do, but not really. He's going to be put his mind into it. And even in the Champions League too, I think he wants more. I think he wants more. He wants to go into the club champions and probably prove himself there that there is Sundowns.
I think Brian, just to add on one line. I think with Pito and the budget that is given, it informs his decision for him to actually to look ahead. As much as he's obtaining trophies is what actually Sundowns culture is all about now, which is to win trophies. As their players have been saying, coming at Sundowns, you want to win things for the team at this pedigree. So I think for Pito as well, it for any coach or any for any team to actually get close to him, it's gonna take long because that guy is a planner. I must tell you that he's a very good planner. I've worked with him like in the development, actually at the national team under 23, under 20 in France. He's a very, very good planner. He always has a vision and he's got love for youngsters, even though his introduction sometimes become too late, but he's a very visionary coach that actually wants to see himself always breaking boundaries, achieving things that people think that cannot be achieved, and also carrying up other coaches as well in his shoulders to show them the way.
Velile, you have the last say.
You know, having listened to him today, it's not something that I've not known before, listening to what Sosi has just said now, but having listened to him today, as he usually says, you do get the feeling now that at Sundowns they're just running their own race. You know, they're running their own race. If you look at how they are refreshing the team, you look at the consistent age that they are getting, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 25, 25, 26. You know, the oldest player that they are getting there is just 30. You know, all these other ones, same wavelength or similar wavelength, and you can see that they are going. Most of them are going to be at their peak as you go to 2024, which is also the duration of his latest deal as well. So, I mean, these are signs of someone. I mean, what he was telling us today that now some of the signings that they're going to be making are informing. So this is what you see with the likes of TP Mazembes, the Esperances, the Al Alis, the Al Hilals. You know, they know that Pito, for the past 7 years, consistently he's been in the top 2. So Champions League qualification is no longer an excitement now for him. And excitement for him should be making the semi-finals or the final of the Champions League. Not even making the last 8 is an achievement for Sundowns. So now you can see the mentality, the mental strength. Talking to all the players today, the 3 players, they talk of mental strength, and you've seen what this mental strength has done for them in this bubble, even when it seemed to be impossible. You know, so I'm sorry, we've had this question for the past 5 years. That is there anyone who's going to dispose them? Is there anyone who's going to challenge them? Even the West Sundowns, or maybe not to say the West Sundowns, not a great Sundowns team. Not a great Sundowns team has won a treble here at home. You know? So imagine a revived and fresh, a rejuvenated Sundowns. I still see trouble ahead.
One last round before we wrap it up.
Yeah, I still see trouble. I still see trouble ahead because those who are supposed to be competing with Sundowns are not at their level best currently, and I'm afraid I don't see any proper plan of countering Sundowns. Yes, they've got the deep pockets of the mining magnet, but besides that, can we give credit to that technical team and their planning? And you can see their planning in from the way they are assembling this signing. Some of the signings were not signed now. Were signed last season, but they're coming now. You know, so it's a vision for me on the technical side, which is unparalleled.
All right, gentlemen, just a quick round. Let's just run it up. Predictions for tomorrow. Ajax Cape Town against TTM. We'll start with you, Villananchi, on your platform. You can just go ahead, Velile.
TTM, we'll try and play hard to get a draw in that game. Because I think when you look at it, TTM, for me, they don't stand a chance of winning these playoffs. There are just some few elements that I've been noticing from their game that they're not 100% there, some of these players, So, I mean, I look at Ajax would come tomorrow having played thoroughly. Bear in mind, TTM, they have considered 5 goals from set pieces. 5 goals, set pieces. Yeah. 5 goals from set pieces. And Ajax, I believe they'll go there prepared tomorrow for that. Ajax win.
So.
Yeah, I see TTM making it difficult for Ajax. A draw for them would be a great result to amp up the Black Leopards as well, to have a better chance. But I see also Ajax fighting for their lives to revive their hopes in actually coming up. So I'm going for Ajax as well.
Eddie, you have the final say.
I think because TTM players, they are going to get bonuses for beating Ajax tomorrow from both TTM and Black Leopards. So I would go for 1-0 TTM.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much.
No. You cannot go unanswered without a question.
Can you confirm that again, Eddie? Eddie, just for something interesting. Can you confirm that again?
The results or the whole.
No, the build up to the result. What will motivate the players?
Okay, let me start again. I think for tomorrow, TTM going to get bonuses from the club itself, TTM, and from Black Leopards. So I think TTM will come out with a 1-0 victory.
So is that a confirmed state? Is it confirmed?
Brizo, based on experience, it's a confirmation, because things like this do happen.
He knows what he's talking about. Okay, I'll leave it right there. So we'll reconvene next time and talk some more about
this. Look at this. Look at this.
Really, yes. Do you want to confirm something also?
Yes.
What do you want to confirm? Oh, no, interesting one. Let's go about this. What is the story with the Highlands Park story?
Yeah, remember we are still waiting for the PSL approval.
Yes.
So they,
yeah, we're still waiting.
This very.
Yeah, but now, those are the developments.
Now this makes it the third. If it's not the third or the second team that team has failed to secure, is there something personal there? Because his deals seems as if they are not all going through.
I think if you remember, Amazulu, when Amazulu wanted to buy Aces, the deal also fell through. But also this one, I think the reasons because this is because the sale is not meeting the requirements of the company's So I think it makes sense, and I think it goes back to what we had said. I said this to you on Friday.
Yes.
The deal not yet approved. And
so this puts Sinkimnis in a jovial mood, because he's been vouching for it not to happen.
But then again, now I think he shouldn't be overly celebrating, and I don't think for me entirely it means the deal that it cannot happen anymore, because there are those requirements that Singi has put forward that he needs. So if they sort that as Highlands Park, then it's going to be a different case.
Yeah,
Right.
again, it goes back to this point again. I'm saying team has tried with Celtics, never went through. Now Highlands never went through. What is
Vets
it?
tried. He also tried with Vets. Didn't he try with Vets too?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's not a. This situation is not really about team. This one. It's about the shareholders of Highlands Park.
And the requirements.
Yes, yes. It's about the shareholders. The shareholders of Highlands Park are not agreeing on the process.
So okay.
Yes, yes, yes. In fact, it's one shareholder against the other shareholders. So because a lot has happened now, even players have been moved. And even the first division status is also moved to Cape Town. So the best.
So how do they sort out this mess now, Velile? Because now this is a discrepancy. Because now players are already sold prematurely. Where does it actually put the situation? Because it's not yet put into bed.
I think that one should be between the two parties. It should be between the shareholders, as I say, because Sinki didn't say he doesn't want the deal to go ahead, but he's asked for some documents, including financial statements. And okay, another thing, apparently was saying he's got the first right of refusal, So yeah. But my please, just on
the minority, Jay. The last time you said you was a minority. Now what's happening, man?
You're saying, Veli?
Yeah. On the Amrucha thing, another interesting thing is Botswana are in the middle of World Cup qualifiers. AFCON qualifiers.
Yes.
And those games are just around the corner. Do you see them just parting ways with their coach a month before the qualifiers?
But I can confirm something with you. Amrucha said he'll be in the country next week. So we'll have a chat with him.
I smell something fishy. What if this is just being dumped? Let's see the reaction.
Yeah, it could be. There's an easy way of that, of somebody just really enticing and just making sure that we talk about it and create hype, so that something can come out of it. Gentlemen, we can spend the whole night talking. But breaking news coming out is that so far the PSL has declined the sale of Highlands Park. We'll try and keep you abreast with everything that goes forward. Willem Nyandu, as always, thank you very much for joining us. Calvin Sasibo.
Yes, sir.
Eddie
Thank you very
Dina.
much.
From myself, Brand, we're going to meet again, guys, and thank you for joining us and making sure you're part of this conversation. I know the gentlemen still have 2 more hours to talk, but I'm done. So we'll have a chat again. Thank you for joining us. Have yourself a splendid evening.